I'd like to call the January 17th Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Thank you all for coming tonight. Our first order of business is the invocation by our County Manager, Mr. David Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. You will bow your heads. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Please bless all those who have gathered here this evening. Lord, be with the commissioners tonight in their deliberations and grant them knowledge and guidance as they look upon the responsibilities that are before them. Guide them as they make decisions for the betterment of Onslow County and her citizens. Father, we pray for the men and women in our armed forces who serve our country with tremendous courage, commitment, and sacrifice. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. We will continue to thank you and praise you for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, traditions, and beliefs of those gathered here tonight, hear us in a moment of silence. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Cotton. Our Deputy County Manager, Ms. Sharon Russell, will lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. I'd like to recognize the elected officials here tonight. I think the only one we have is Sheriff Hans Miller. Thank you, Sheriff, for being here and protecting us and watching over us. We ask that all in attendance please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public 2 opportunities to speak during the meeting. Comments during the first period, public comment period, should be limited to 3 minutes each and must be directly issue-oriented with the agenda items for this particular meeting. The second public comment period is at the end of the meeting and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. Citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they signed up to speak and will address all comments to the board as a whole and not to one individual commissioner. Speakers will address the board from the speaker's podium up front here and will begin their remarks by standing or stating their name and address. Discussion between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Public comment is intended to require the board to not to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their nature and language and presentation. Any comments where the primary purpose is to promote a business or candidacy shall not be allowed. In accordance with the board's rules, adopted rules and procedures, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner's comment period at the end of the agenda. With no items being considered separately, a motion to adopt the meeting agenda is now in order. Need a motion? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approval of the items on the consent agenda. Any commissioner can pull anything off that they choose to have moved to the latter part of the meeting for further discussion. Is there anything that the commissioners would like to have removed and discussed later?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion for the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda carries. Now we're at the first public comment section. Mr. Cotton, has anyone signed up for the first section?
No, sir.
Okay, presentations. Will you read the presentation and then we'll go down and greet the folks that's coming in.
Tonight we have America's Guardians Public Safety Motorcycle Club. They are here to present a check to the commissioners for funds raised for the Onslow County Public Safety Memorial. I would ask the commissioners to come down in front of the flag, and representatives from the club if you'd like to join the commissioners up here.
Good evening. My name is Jimmy Davis. I'm the president of the America's Guardians Public Safety Motorcycle Club here in Jacksonville. Beside me is my good friend Larry Jones. On September 30th, 2017, we organized the second annual public safety motorcycle ride to help raise money for the memorial and show our respects for the 13 fallen that had made the ultimate sacrifice protecting the communities they loved. For myself and Mr. Jones, this memorial is very personal because our fathers are two of the 13 fallen on the memorial. We are here tonight to thank all that were involved in helping us with this year's ride. This year we were able to have a route that stopped at all the organizations in which one of the fallen were a part of. Being able to do this allowed the riders to see the organizations and their memorials each of them have for the ones that they had lost. In addition, it allowed the riders to meet some of the people that answer the calls when someone is in need. We would like to thank the following: Richlands Volunteer Fire Department, Roachtown Volunteer Fire Department, the Jacksonville Police Department and Chief Unero, the Jacksonville Fire and Emergency Services and Chief Hardison, Pumpkin Center Volunteer Fire Department, the NC Forestry Service, Hubert Volunteer Fire Department, the Onslow County Sheriff Department and Sheriff Miller, and Verona Volunteer Fire Department.
These organizations allowed us to stop by and show our respect for one of their members that made the ultimate sacrifice. After returning to the memorial, the Jacksonville Fire and Emergency Service Honor Guard put on a ceremony to show the respect for the honor of the 13 fallen and their family. The ceremony consists of a rose placement for each of the fallen, a flag ceremony, and also taps being played. We'd also like to thank the following organizations that helped make this event a success: the Richlands Piggly Wiggly, Mr. Rayford Brown, Miss Riley Eversole, Krispy Kreme, Texas Roadhouse. In addition, we would also like to thank the Onslow County Manager's Office for allowing us to put on this motorcycle ride and help raise money for this beautiful memorial. Tonight, we'd also like to present you with a check for $1,000 to help fund the memorial and the support for the fallen public safety personnel that have gave their all in the line of duty. Thank you again for Onslow County Public Safety Memorial.
They have presented us a check for $1,000 that we needed for maintenance and operation of our public safety memorial. And those that come in the driveway from 258 tonight, drove up by and seen it. If you get a chance, I'll stop by and look at all the names on it and look at people that sacrificed their life for Onslow County and the volunteers and the public safety folks that's on there. I really thank you for coming up here tonight. It's a great contribution. And keep up and keep doing the good work you do. Thank you so much.
Hey, real quick, JD, good to see you again. America's Guardians. I've ridden with JD and his group with the Blue Knights Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club, and I can't thank you guys enough. When you see these guys with their colors on like that, they're the good guys. And they're out there trying to raise money and do what's right. And I've been on a couple of your rides that you've sponsored, and they've been fantastic, and I applaud you guys. I know you guys didn't ride tonight because it's too cold. But the work that they do, and a lot of the clubs that you see here, like the Blue Knights, Red Knights, Rolling Thunder, Purple Heart Group, and the list goes on and on. They're out there, riding for a cause because they're avid motorcycle enthusiasts, and I really appreciate what you guys did. It's fantastic, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Knapp. We move on now to item number 5, public hearing. Mr. Cotton, will you get that kicked off for us?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I will call on Mr. Ben Warren, Assistant County Manager, to provide the staff briefing, and then after that, I will open the public hearing. Mr. Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. For your consideration this evening, we have a rezoning request that was submitted by John L. Pearson Associates on behalf of Lynn Bell Unsworth, and the request is to rezone 3 properties identified as 1306-39, 1306-40, and 1312-44 from rural agricultural to highway business. And the total area of the 3 parcels is approximately 16.8 acres. There is an Onwassa 8-inch water line that runs along the front of the property. The property itself has about 500 feet of frontage on Highway 24, Freedom Highway, and along that frontage they have an 8-inch water line provided by Onwassa to serve the site. There's currently no sewer available to the property, and fire service is provided by Hubert Volunteer Fire Department, which has an ISO rating of 6. As we look at the streets providing access to the property, the primary street would be Freedom Way, which has an a vehicle traffic count of about 22,000 vehicles per day, and the carrying capacity of that roadway is about 35,000 vehicle trips per day. If we look at the property itself, located on the north side of Freedom Highway, and looking at the zoning in the vicinity of the rezoning site, the area that you see in the bright green, primarily surrounding the rezoning site, is rural agricultural. The area just to the right of the rezoning site in the blue is existing highway business that's adjacent to the rezoning properties. So you can see the site is primarily vacant and wooded. There is a single-family residence on the site. The other areas just to the right that are zoned highway business right now are somewhat underdeveloped, but are primed for future commercial development in this area and at this corridor. So looking at the comparison between the 2 districts, the rural agricultural district has a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet and 2 dwelling units per acre. And even though it is a residential and rural agricultural zoning district, it does allow a number of non-residential type uses. The primary difference between the rural agricultural and the highway business is that with the highway business, it allows all of our different commercial uses, but they are allowed as uses that are permitted by right. In the rural agricultural zoning district, many of those same non-residential type uses are allowed, but they have special requirements that have to be approved as part of that permitting process. So it's a little bit more stringent in the RA versus the highway business. Looking at the land use map, the area that's shaded in brown is the medium density residential. The area to the north in the yellowish green color is rural residential. And even though this area is classified as medium density residential, when you look at the policies and the recommendations in the land use plan, what it recommends is that even though this area is categorized as residential or medium density residential, it still wants to site commercial development along primary transportation corridors and also to develop commercial nodes along those corridors, which is exactly what you see happening here. Highway 24 is one of our main corridors through the county, and looking back at that initial zoning vicinity map that we had, there's already a pocket of highway business zoning starting to occur at this area along Highway 24. So this is really a continuation of building that node on the primary transportation corridor. So as we look at the comprehensive plan, there again, the rezoning is consistent with the guiding principles for the medium density residential category, and due to the existing presence of highway business in this area, it is considered reasonable and in the public interest. So staff does recommend approval of the rezoning request due to its consistency with the land use plan and also because of the adjacent highway business commercial zoning. The planning board also reviewed this request and made a unanimous recommendation for approval. And there again, their recommendation was based upon the presence of highway business zoning adjacent to the rezoning site and also consistency with the comprehensive land use plan. With that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Cotton for the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. At this time, I will open the public hearing and ask for any statement to be made on the applicant's behalf. I believe Mr. Pierce.
John Pierce, 405 Johnson Boulevard. On behalf of Ms. Unsworth and future development of the property, I'm here as a agent. And there's a lot of good reasons to rezone this property. It would, in the future, would help increase the tax base. Plus, as an alternative, the folks are looking at it, we're looking at a possible connection through this property to the subdivision in the rear. Mr. Elijah Morton, I don't know if you're aware of that, is developing Peyton's Ridge. And that would offer, he's got an interest on Parkertown Road and another interest on the, like kind of a side road just past from this. And this really and truly would if we could develop it and get environmental permits, that would aid that residential subdivision as well. But it agrees with the comprehensive land use plan, and I really feel like it's the best in the public interest, and another reason it's the high and best use for this piece of property. It's usually not an ideal situation where you head down right beside a 4-lane highway, and that's what the majority of this property does front on. And contiguous to this property, which is Old Highway 24, it joins existing highway business. And I'll be here available after the close of the public hearing if any of the commissioners got any questions I can answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will make one call to the audience to comment on rezoning case PREZ TAC 2017 TAC 00006. Seeing no one approaching the podium, I will now close the public hearing, and the item is available for commissioner discussion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? With no discussion, motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, John. Okay, item number 6, general items. I think this is Ms. Laura Jones, semi-annual report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. In accordance with North Carolina General Statute 168, Article 12, a resolution was adopted by the Board of Commissioners that authorizes the purchasing director to dispose of personal property by means of public sale or a private sale. And the resolution also requires that a record be kept of all the property that is sold and reported in writing to the commissioners on a semi-annual basis. And the report describes the property sold or exchanged, to whom it was sold or exchanged, and the amount of money or other consideration received for each individual sale. The sale of this property was by means of public sale, which is the electronic auction, and by private sale, which is through the surplus store at the warehouse. The total of surplus sales for the reporting period of July 1 through December 31st, 2017 was $79,846.81. And $70,093.76 was sold on GovDeals by electronic auction, and the remaining $9,753.06 was sold in the surplus store. It is respectfully requested that the board accept the report for July 1 through December 31st of 2017. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item is contract with Zoll Medical for purchases of EMS cardiac monitors. I think David Groovedall. I got it right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners. Onslow County Emergency Medical Services is responsible for all response, treatment, and transport of 911 patients in Onslow County. In 2017, EMS responded to 20,438 requests for service. The Board of County Commissioners allocated funds in fiscal year 2017-18 budget for the replacement of cardiac monitors for EMS. Cardiac monitors are an integral part of the patient care continuum. These devices are used more than 30 times a day to help in the diagnosis of heart attack, identify lethal heart rhythms, and to conduct vital checks. The purchase will allow us to move into the forefront of emergency care treatment and technology. The total purchase price for the Zoll medical cardiac monitors is $599,145.07. It's respectfully requested the Board of Commissioners consider approving the contract with Zoll Medical and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve the contract.
Motion to approve, second.
Second.
Any discussion? This is in the budget, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
All in favor of a motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Consent agenda, we didn't have anything moved to that. So now we at item number 8, Mr. Cotton, public comment section. We have individuals that signed up.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we have 2 individuals who have signed up. This is the second public comment period. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner's comment period on the agenda. Comments may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. The first person who has signed up is Mr. Richard Schrum of 2081 Catherine Lake Road, Richlands, North Carolina. Mr. Schrum.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That is me, Richard Schrum, and good evening, commissioners, staff, and citizens. About 3 years ago, Paul was here. I'm not sure if Jack Bright was here, but Barbara Eichner was chairman of the board. And I came before and I asked for help getting a stoplight at Catherine Lake Road and 25824, and also a stoplight at Ridge Road and Blue Creek Road right by Barker's. You did a tremendous job. We got the stoplight at Catherine Lake Road, and there's at least 2,000 people that should be thanking you people every day for that stoplight. And I know the state is working hard to straighten out Ridge Road and eventually install a stoplight. I live halfway between the airport and 258-24, and I saw a bunch of surveyors around about 9 months ago surveying along the road. And I called Anthony Prince, and I said, what's going on here? And he said, oh, the state is going to make Catherine Lake Road 3 lanes. And I told him at that time, that's a crazy idea. First off, they'd have to move 200 to 300 mailboxes. They'd have to move 200 to 300 driveways and cut them. And they'd have to move all kinds of culverts. And at the end result, they'd have this windy road that doesn't have any shoulders. And it makes a lot more sense, Anthony, to build a road from the other side of the airport directly to Pony Farm Road, where the stoplight is. You could have a straight shot, 55 miles an hour, and we have more traffic on Catherine Lake Road than every year. And I think the GPSs are sending all the trucks down Catherine Lake Road from Raleigh. And of course, we have the airport traffic, and then we got the 2,000 new homes or whatever. But in any event, I was so pleased when Chairman Bright announced that several meetings ago that you all had met and decided that it would be great if the state built a road directly from the airport to 258-24 and leave Catherine Lake alone, and that would save a lot of money. And it's just forest land, I think, and maybe some cropland, and they could make a really nice road with a limited access, not letting everybody put driveways in. Looks like I have 2 minutes left. This is for Sheriff Miller. One of my friends, Melissa Worrell Keeps, has been complaining about the loud mufflers in Onslow County. And we have that also on Catherine Lake Road. And she said some police department had started giving tickets to people with loud mufflers. And I don't know how you do that, but apparently at the state, when you get your emissions checked, they don't check for mufflers. And we have a lot of cars and pickup trucks that, I don't know, don't have mufflers or have noise. I don't know, maybe they have amplifiers or something, but if you could look into that, it would be good if we could crack down on some of these loud mufflers. That's all I have.
Thank you, Richard. We have anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. The next folks who have signed up are Vanessa and J.C. Davis of 112 Bachelor Road, Richlands. Ms. Davis, Mr. Davis.
Hi, Chairman. This is our first time dealing with government, so we're a little nervous, but bear with us. We're requesting that you consider amending, it's SS, I guess, 105-395-.1. And what this applies to is applicable date when due date falls on weekend or holiday. This is the taxes. As you know, we had a, I believe they called it a bomb of a storm that came through right at taxpayers' time. And it's my understanding that your office was closed Thursday and Friday. And Friday was the actual due date for taxes. And I'm here to represent not only me and my husband, but to represent the county, Onslow County, all the citizens of Onslow County, and to ask for some compassion from you guys. If it's in your authority to make an amendment to this, to include when inclement weather prohibits taxpayers from entering tax office to pay taxes, they shall have until the next business day to pay all taxes due without penalty. My husband, he came down as soon as we could get out. We had no road service until after the snow melted and the ice melted. Then we had the state came through and attempted to drag the highway, and they tore off our little lights that's in the middle of the road. So it was too late, too little, too late. We're also requesting consideration for reimbursing the people of Onslow County, reimbursing or crediting all the citizens who came on January 8th, which was the Monday after when people could get out, and came to this building and paid all their taxes that were due, and plus they paid that 2% that day. So I know that today Ms. Sharon gave us the bylaws and all that, and I don't know exactly who is in charge. I know that someone had sent me to call Phil Shepard, and he told me when I spoke with him over the phone that he would do whatever he needed to do if he needed to do something up at the state level. But hopefully you guys can do this. I believe that the people should be reimbursed for 29 days of the 2% because they came on the Monday, which was the 8th. So I want you to consider that, and hopefully that you will take that into consideration. I know when my husband came to pay the taxes, the girl told him, says, well, you could have done online banking. Well, I am a victim of identity theft, and I do not do online banking anymore. So I think you guys owe it to the Onslow County citizens to have some compassion because the weather was nothing that we could control. And I know that y'all were trying to look out for your employees, not to make them come down here through the ice to open the door so that people could come and pay. So what I'm asking you guys to consider this. Amending, I wrote this in, I had read that someplace that said, if I can, okay. But if you would consider adding that into it, it says that you'll delay it on holidays, that the next business day, that if they come the next business day and pay it, that, you know, it wouldn't be considered late. So I'm not trying to get anything over on the county, and the people of Onslow County isn't trying to get anything up. They just want to be treated fair. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Anybody else signed up?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'd like to, I'm really on your side about the timeline and not being able to pay it, but I think we are restricted by state statute. So I'll refer to our legal team on that, and he can explain what really happens with that. And I appreciate you coming down. You're probably not the only one. I think we had some county employees that were in that same boat too, but we have to go by what our county attorney says.
Right, I appreciate that, Chairman. 105-395.1, which is the statute you referenced, Ms. Davis, that's a state statute, so the state representatives are the only representatives that can change that. So contacting your congressman or state senators to that effect. This board, unfortunately, I think everybody sympathizes and empathizes with your position, but this board does not have the power to do so. So unfortunately, they're not able to issue refunds and things unless it falls on a weekend or a holiday. It doesn't provide anything about inclement weather or other natural disasters, which is something that the state may wish to consider, but that's something you will need to take with the state representatives, and unfortunately this board can't do anything about it.
Okay, so Phil Shepherd is the one I was supposed to get there?
Whatever district you live in, yes ma'am, whoever your
And
colleagues.
as carried on a conversation, we don't normally do that, but I would hope that there would be a state law that would allow us to do that because circumstances of inclement weather. If we were to do that, let's say we did do that, and the people that did come in and pay those penalties, then the Board of Commissioners, each one of us individually, would then have to reimburse the county for doing it out of our own pocket. And I probably wouldn't mind paying your penalty, but I can't pay everybody else's myself. I don't think that would be fair either. But if Phil and the legislators adopt a state statute that would put a provision in there for situations like this, and I'm sure places up around Raleigh and Charlotte and other areas, I'm sure they have the same situation where they have to close. And, you know, there's a lot of people say, well, the taxes was due September 1st, so everybody had from September 1st. But me, like a lot of other people, wait because we don't want to pay the interest we don't want to collect that interest on our money until the last minute. So you're not in the boat by yourself, but we got to get it changed on the state level before we can do anything with it. And I appreciate you coming in about the passion of that, and thank you for coming up and sharing that with us. I would, at this point, because of the weather situation, I'd like to have, Norm, could you come up and give us a quick brief on the weather so we can get that behind us and get out of here?
Don't say snow, Norm.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. I've been sitting in the back of the meeting watching the radar over the last little bit. We have precipitation coming in from us from a flurry precipitation coming in from the north and west, and a much wetter rain coming in from the south and west at this point in time. Matter of fact, in our southern portions of our county, we could be seeing light precipitation at this time. Currently, we in the county are above freezing. We're around 36 degrees. However, through the night, around 11 o'clock to midnight, we're going to switch over and get over below freezing. What we're still predicting is looking at a possible 1 to 2 inches of snow, depending on where you are. The closer you get to the coastline, the less snow that we might see or accumulations. One of my bigger concerns that we do have with this is with the rain that's coming in from the south in Wilmington. If we get a good bit of rain first and then freezing temperatures afterwards, then we could have slick road conditions. As I've told many people, snow doesn't bother me half as bad as ice because snow does give you some form of traction on the roadways. So we could see some form of wet, slippery precipitation this evening. As far as getting in tomorrow, the coldest point will actually be about 22 degrees this evening. Well, actually getting in tomorrow morning, about 7 a.m. is when it's going to be the coldest tomorrow. And then we will see a warm up getting around 11 to 12 where to get above freezing. So we do have a chance of some dangerous roads this evening, and people need to take precaution. And the morning times, if they have to get out on the roads, they need to take extra time and do caution. And remember that not everyone has the same abilities or the same vehicles driving on the road, and take caution and time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I got out a little bit out of order, but I wanted to get that in.
Yes, sir.
Do we have manager's comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be brief. The winter weather preparations and response and recovery plan, we have that in place and ready to go to stand up our assets. Currently, the city of Jacksonville and Onslow County School System they are operating on a 2-hour delay. Marine Corps Air Station New River and Camp Lejeune have both decided to close, as well as all DoD schools. The county, I've yet to make that decision. I anticipate that I'll be making it later this evening, maybe around midnight or 1, watching the weather. And for that notice, it'll go out through Alert Onslow, G10, our Facebook, Twitter, our website, and the local media outlets, what we typically announce through. So I'll be evaluating the weather later this evening and making that decision, because it's really an unpredictable storm. It wasn't as clear cut as the one that we just had. So I don't want to issue a 2-hour delay or anything like that, not knowing.
I just received a text that the college is going to have a 2-hour delay also.
Thank you, sir. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you, sir. Commissioner comment, let's see, Commissioner Bennett.
Sure. I'll be brief. I thank you, Mr. Shrum, and the other speakers today. We appreciate your comments. I just say let's be safe, and we thank everybody for coming out tonight in this lousy weather, and I hope you're safe getting home, and be safe tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Commissioner Price.
I'd like to thank America's Guardians Public Safety Motorcycle Club for their contribution to the Public Safety Memorial. We did have a ribbon cutting for our Shell building, so we're excited about good things happening in Onslow County there. On Friday morning, we will have a joint meeting with the Board of Education where we will continue to discuss the class size reduction and its impact on Onslow County. Continue to encourage you to contact your state legislators if you have concerns about that, which you could potentially put stress on Onslow County and our ability to meet that unfunded mandate. So that is an area of concern for us. The Mental Health Task Force continues to make progress, and we're getting to a point where pretty soon we will be issuing the RFP and moving forward there. And we do have making progress with another potential interested party considering partnering with Onslow County. They haven't decided yet, so I don't want to announce anything before they make their own announcement. But I am encouraged by that development, because that would reduce some of the perhaps the contributions that the county might have to make, and so that's a positive thing. Just be careful as you driving this evening. Have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Price. Commissioner Buchanan.
Richard, I can give you a little bit. I'll try to be brief with it as possible, because there's quite a bit of working mechanisms. 111 is on hold for the third lane, because Jack and I both sit on the MPO for Jacksonville with Anthony Prince, and he has a lot of knowledge. I mean, that individual can share a lot of things with you. He shares a lot with us. We both sit on that board. But the catch to it is that the Ramsey Road is going to extend over to 258. That's going straight across. It was supposed to come into Burton Park, but it's not. That's off the table. But the money has been funded from Ramsey Road to extend over to 258. The board is looking at going through the farmland to the airport with a 4-lane road is what they want to do. But that money is not in the tip, and right now it's just more or less research, but 111 is on hold right now. I want to thank everybody for being here and have a safe going home.
Thank you, Paul. Vice Chairman Knapp?
Just real quick, just to echo what Chairman Price said, the task force is moving forward, and we do have a potential new player involved. And again, we'll let that come out when they decide to fully commit. But again, I can't thank Sherry and David enough for the hard work that they put into this to make this happen. We still have a target date for our facility for July, August timeframe of this year, which I think is really significant, and we're really excited about it, and it looks like we're going to make this thing happen. So that's a big step for us. Secondly, yesterday we had the accreditation for our Consolidated Human Services Agency, and Ms. Angela Lee, our director, she had a team come in, and of course myself and Commissioner Buchanan answered some questions, and I just want to say how pleased I am with that and how that interview went. If you haven't looked at our new facility, you need to go in there. It is absolutely outstanding. And I think everybody there under that roof has done an outstanding job, and I think the accreditation process was pretty smooth, Angela. Because as you know, as commissioners, we serve as the Board of Health here for Onslow County. And as such, we're educated and provided all the information necessary from the health services, so I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to the next year. I think we're going to have a successful year. And just keep in mind, too, the last thing is that we have our budget workshops are coming up for our next fiscal year. So we're going to do the old roll up the sleeve thing again and take a look at our budget and try to stay within our goals. We'll be defining our objectives and goals here shortly in a workshop, and hopefully we can progress and continue on what we did for the last budget, which we're all proud of. So stay safe. I hope you all get home safely. Watch out for the flu. My wife just tested positive for the flu, so she's going to sleep downstairs, I hope, and that's probably not going to happen. But just be careful because it is real out there, and and she's pretty sick, and she rarely gets sick. So hope you all stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Richard, for coming in tonight. And those projects that you mentioned move forward. Of course, they all Department of Transportation control, but the way the crow flies, putting another lane from the airport to 258 can go about, I think it's estimated about 2 or 3 miles instead of using all of the winding road of Catherine Lake. So I think that's really getting looked at really serious now, even though it's not funded yet. But the airport is our crown jewel for Onslow County, and to have a better showcase for it, it'd be better to have a streamlined roadway to the airport without interfering with the situation with the growth and all of the obstacles that would have to be negotiated with 111 to get from 258 to the airport. So thank you for bringing that up, but we were kindly on that already, and I appreciate everybody coming. Weather's getting bad, so I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.